Hello, Jack.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm all right. It's been a very busy day. How about you?
I'm busy as well. I'm shocked you joined so fast. We usually have technical issues with Mar.
Should we just spend like 5 minutes talking about how amazing Ma is and really embarrass her and
Oh, I bet you'd kill us if we did that.
yes, but we're all in different countries. So
Yes, I know. I usually tell her she's like the glue that brings the horror community together, and she does a marvelous job at that. So that is amazing.
she does. She really, really does. And
Mm.
yeah, she's clever, she's smart, she knows good people, she does great
Yeah.
feeds with you, live feeds which I watch. So yeah.
Yeah, and she's very tenacious. Anyway, let's get right into it. First of all, I just want to welcome everyone who's gonna join this live or see it later. I'm here with Jack Bowman. Oh my gosh, you have so many. I was going through your IDM bio, and you have so many accolades towards your name, and I was like shocked. I was like, wow, this is just an amazing person to be with.
Well, no, the thing is, I've been like watching your live streams for weeks now. It's like, oh, they want me? Okay, okay, cool. So,
Like I did that? No, no. I mean, but you've been here for you've been in the scene for quite a long time, and I think you deserve it. You deserve it.
thank you.
Yes. So for today, we are here to talk about London After Midnight. First of all, I just want to ask, what inspired you to like take on a directing role for such an amazing masterpiece? Clearly, you haven't watched enough horror movies because the premise is like you just went up and you adapted like this lost gem of a silent horror film. And I have watched Blair Witch, and I have watched a couple of horror movies that once they are brought, bad things happen once they're remade. But anyway, go on. What?
Well, that's really flattering because, like, as a student, when was Blair Witch 99? So I went to see it in a cinema in Wales when I was studying, and like Blair Witch freaked
Hmm.
the hell out of me. I'm trying not to swear. I'm sorry, but it freaked the hell out of me. And for you to say that, I mean, that's a phenomenal compliment. Thank you. So, where did it all begin? It began with me in bed with COVID. So I was doing some children's podcasts, and
Hmm.
I've said this elsewhere that horror podcasts tend to make up about 40% of what I do, simply because horror is very good on audio. So when people are looking for a director or producer of like can do podcasting, like scripted podcasting or scripted audio, I'm there. I get a call, and I get called about some amazing things, and a lot of them don't happen. But I was lying there in bed, and there was a video about Public Domain Day, about what was coming into the public domain as of 2023. And the big news was, are you ready?
Yes. Oh my
All
God.
right, you ready? The big
Yeah,
news
yeah.
of Public Domain Day 2023 was that all of Sherlock Holmes is now in the public domain. So
Oh,
is it that, so is this, so is that. And right at the very end, there's a
uh,
guy called Steve Shivers. Steve Shivers?
yeah.
I don't know if I've said that right. He just turned around and said, oh, also London After Midnight is in the public domain. So if you got a copy, now is a
Uh,
good time to, release it. And
yeah.
I lay there thinking, like, I'm a massive missing media fan,
Uh,
right? I grew up on Doctor Who. We have 97 episodes of Doctor Who missing, right?
Wow. Uh,
Uh, so, so if you've got 10th Planet episode 4 out there,
uh,
I want it back, right? So I'm like a massive fan of missing media. Like, they do reconstructions of Doctor Who episodes, and
uh,
there's a thing at the BFI once a year called Missing Believed Wiped,
yeah.
where they do a special screening of the material, lost archive material they recovered. And I was lying there thinking, oh, great, someone can do London After Midnight. Hooray,
What?
it can happen. Let's do it.
Uh,
And I was lying there thinking, they'll probably do a feature film remake this year, won't they? That'd be cool. And then I
yes,
was
but
lying there, Yeah, but I was
You
thinking
want to
like,
be ahead of the curve, you know. You want to be.
well, it was like thinking like, I'm an audio producer. That's what I do. I make great audio stories,
Yeah,
and I work with brilliant creatives who love telling stories on audio.
yeah.
And I was like, it would be madness to try and do my first feature film as London After
Uh-huh.
Midnight, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So I pitched the idea to Lance Roger Axt, who's at Pocket Universe Productions, and I just said, London After Midnight, what do you think? And
Uh-huh.
then from there, the conversations rolled, and then it was like, could we actually take a lost silent horror classic
Yeah.
and do it as a full cast audio drama production? That's where it
Uh-huh.
started. That was
Uh-huh.
it. And someone called it mad genius. I have another phrase which is not good for the kids, but um, it was
I
like
think I have it in my head. I have it in my head.
it involves half of Batman and toilet habits. And yeah, so it was like we just pitched this idea, and like we brought Kenton on board, and I worked with Kenton at Moonbug, and we're between Lance and Kenton individually, we've always been developing projects for media,
Yeah.
like for audio, and I just said, all right, you boys go off and convince me we can make this be a thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, like 6 or 7 weeks later, the first draft of the script dropped in.
Oh my.
And
Wow.
I ignored it for 24 hours. One, mainly because I hate reading scripts because I'm dyslexic. And
Oh
two,
my gosh.
it's
That,
like, if this doesn't work, it's such a good idea, but if that script is terrible. But
uh-huh.
you know what? I set
Mhm.
aside 20 minutes to read the first 10 pages of my day.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
3 hours later, I
Mm.
was making my notes in Final Draft. You do a thing called in-script notes.
Uh-huh.
And I just literally, I was late for the school run. I was running to pick up the kids, but
Yeah.
I put them together on Facebook on like the messenger, and I was
Uh-huh.
literally going, "This is the best first draft script I've ever wrote." But as a producer,
Uh-huh.
that's the start of your problems, because when you get a great script, you've got to find a way to get it made. And that first
Yes.
script, that first draft, was just like, yeah, they've actually taken this crazy idea and they've done something brilliant.
Yes, and now it's up to you to actualize it. And for me, on like a listener's side, I was like, this is something that, sort of breathes some fresh air into like the entertainment industry. Because as I was thinking, like it's something, it's a nuance. It's not something new, but it's something that we all need. It's not just like your normal cinema. It's audio, and it's just so well crafted. And I'm curious, is this something like you mentioned? Is this something you want to, continue doing? Is this like the start of, a series of other like, and missing films, missing audios, missing stories, hopefully
I
that are not cast.
Well, I don't know. I heard your pitch about doing like the Fire 65 collection, which I love as an idea.
Yes,
Like there's so many lost silent classics were lost in that fire. But
exactly.
I think for me it was just like, it's one of those things as a horror fan I wanted always to see.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm working out what to do as a horror piece or any piece, any genre, it's like, what do I want to see? Is there a gap in the market? Are people going to respond to this? So yes, I mean, I'm always wanting to do more. We've got tons planned. We've spent 3 years during the pandemic building up this huge stockpile of really great audio content. But for me, the beauty of London After Midnight was the fact that, you can make content, but also you want to be giving something as well. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And London After Midnight has been missing since 1965. So for
Mm-hmm.
me,
Mm-hmm.
it felt like, if we could find 1,000, 2,000 people who would get on board, support the
Mm-hmm.
project, job done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, so many people talk about how they want to see this. My friend Dick Fiddy is the head of Missing Believe Wiped at the BFI. And he's written us a piece which will actually go in the physical media about the myth of the thing you can't see.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, you know, I'm gonna lay bets right now between now and Christmas. Mysteriously, a Prince of London After Midnight will appear. But in the meantime, it's like if we could just put the creative energy into, we're not just about making a horror piece. It's got to be something people will respond to and we can give to. Horror fans are the best fans in the world, honestly.
Yes.
And if we can give, exactly. Right. So if we can give them something that they need and want and do that job well, and hopefully we have, then we can sort of scratch a bit of an itch. You know what I mean? That's my feeling with the work I do. It's like
exactly. Funny you should say that, because I also have the same feeling with the Kenyan/African audience when it comes to horror fans. We are fun. We are just. I think most horror fans just need that little spark of interest, and then everything just blows up. But without that, people just stay under the radar. People just even not look at your work. But once you get the ball rolling, especially for me, because we do a lot of events, and sometimes you do a feature film or a couple of short films here and there. And once that ball starts to roll, it's just downhill from there, which makes me wonder if this is the case when it came to casting for London After Midnight. How's that? I don't call it set because it's not like your typical movie set, but how was that just getting people on board? I'm pretty sure they were talking to other people about this project. How was that feeling for you?
Oh, it's good because I have two primary rules because we're low budget, we're indie audio. We have to work fast. The actor has to be good, and also they have to bring good energy to a set. I have a different rule, but we won't say it in case children are watching. But it's like you have to be someone who I can trust, but also at the same time, I would say about a third of my cast every single time is someone who's asked to work with me or is new to working with me. So I want to keep that balance. So obviously, London After Midnight comes with its own baggage, but I'll come back to that. Interesting story about what happened on the day. Right? But some people got on board because they like the idea of working with me. I don't know why, but they do.
Because of your bio. What else? What else is there? I would have loved to work with you.
Oh, fantastic! Because literally, we run 0 a-hole sets, and if you come on, you're like the me you meet on a recording session is going to be very different to the kids wouldn't recognize me versus where I work at home, right? But it's like we're going to come in, we're going to have fun. We don't take anything seriously apart from the work. We respect the scripts because the script was good. So I'd say about a third of the cast came on board because they wanted to work with me, or they had worked with me before, or a third came on board because they loved the script. And from there, it's just about, we had 2 days to record this.
Wow.
So, everything was done over 2 days in West London. So we had to, make sure people were looked after, they had a good time, etc. So, it's a case of, keeping that balance between we're here to do some work, we're going to do some good stuff. Our script is great, but at the same time, making sure that when people come in, they have a lot of fun.
Yes, make the experience memorable.
Yeah.
Now, where is the baggage? I am waiting for the baggage.
So, here we go. So basically, Art Malik, obviously, great guy. He's done James Bond. He's done a film with Jim Cameron, True Lies. He was sort of in between The Little Mermaid blowing up as the second biggest thing on Disney Plus ever. Right?
Yeah. I'll put up in on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tag Disney Plus. Yeah. And he's done extraordinary, notable cult things. But I worked with him 6 years ago on Murder on the Orient Express for Audible. And he came in and he was booked for 4 hours. He was the linking narrator, so he did all the narration scenes. I think it was my casting suggestion actually for the role.
Yeah.
And the Agatha Christie estate were going to come down and watch him do his thing, right? Okay.
Uh-huh.
And by the time they got there, 3 hours in, he was wrapped. He was already in the green room having a, cup of
Oh,
tea.
well, yeah, of course.
Thanking us all for the casting, and how lovely it was to be back. Because he doesn't live in London either; he lives in southwest England. And I just, I just knew he was a really, really lovely guy, and his agent was the first person to respond, and we got it through all within about 2 hours, barring dealing with deal points.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was incredibly enthusiastic. He came aboard. He responded very, very well to the script, but it wasn't until we got about halfway through his recording, which was the second day, he actually had no idea what London After Midnight was. So
Wow. What?
he literally had just taken the script at face value
Uh-huh.
and responded to, the writing by Kenton and Lance. And he went, oh, this is brilliant. And I was sitting there and I said, no, we got a whole teaser campaign because, nobody knows London After Midnight is coming back. And I thought we didn't use NDAs. We just said to all the cast, just keep it quiet. Just say a word. Keep it secret. And they did, bless them. And he, we sat down and we talked there. And what was brilliant about that was he was so unaware of longevity and the baggage that came with the role. He literally he took on face value of our script.
I can feel the pain. I can feel that stab in their heart. But
but you got to understand these things. Not everyone understands the world of horror, and like Art Malik, I don't think has done a lot of horror pieces, if at all. This might be his first. And as soon as he got it, as soon as we sat there and explained it and showed him what we were planning, he was like, "Oh my god, this is fantastic!" Now he Instagrams all the pictures for us and all that kind of stuff. So, absolute gem. You know what I mean? Some people came in knowing, like David K. Barnes, the showrunner of the Wooden Overcoats. He knew what London After Midnight was, and David Bickerstaff. The first person we cast actually was David Bickerstaff. He knew what London After Midnight was. So we had this mix of kind of people who really knew the lore and the legend behind the original. And people were just like, "This is a great script. Let's come in and let's play for a day or two."
Yeah. So ultimately, it was a happy ever after for all of you. At least now he understood, and to share the same values with all of you for the screening for the recording of it. All right. I'm trying to look at the time. I don't want to take a lot of your time. We have 10 more minutes.
I've got time.
All right. Oh, really? Okay. Then we can go. If I saw you've done a couple of podcasts and audiobooks. What would you say is the most comparable, piece of work that you would compare London After Midnight to? Because for me, in my head, when I was listening to it, I hadn't been exposed to your previous work, but I was like, this is a bit of Sherlock Holmes, and like a bit of like the mystery that comes with The Butler Did It. So I was like sort of piecing those two together, and I was like, it's so rich the way you melded those two genres in my head, and I just loved it.
Well, that comes from the original. B, because we were the original screenplay, and then Kenton and Lance did wonders, sort of mashing up tones. But it's a tough one because what makes this one kind of unique, and I've seen you discussing this on other videos, is the sound design.
Exactly.
This is like this is like asking Steven Spielberg at the Jurassic Park point what compares, because we've gone into through Rory O'Shea and his brilliant work. He's taken it into Dolby Atmos now, and that is like a quantum leap. This is like CGI for audio, and this is the thing that people think, oh, I know a radio play, oh, I know an audio play. No, you have not heard something that has been mastered in Dolby Atmos. And this is in Dolby Atmos, right? So right from very early on in my career, like starting with, say, the Spring Hill saga, we wanted to shoot for that kind of very immersive, heavy sound design, high quality stuff, you know, like a Dirk Maggs production. He'd been doing that kind of stuff since the 90s, right?
Yeah.
But here we were going like, okay, right, can we replicate that in podcasting with Spring Hill? And listening back on Spring Hill, you know, it sounded state of the art in 2010, but now it would probably just sound like a radio play, right? But next
Yeah,
to what a
true.
radio play was then. So it's really difficult to compare, because like even last year I did a really lovely piece for Violet Hour called Long Night in Egypt, which is a horror comedy set, you know, four students on spring break go to Cairo and get trapped in a pyramid, which is very much alive after hours, and the sound mix on that is beautifully rich, but it's stereo, right?
Yeah.
And that's not to put it down, because it is a beautiful sound mix, but the quantum leap here into using Dolby Atmos, it's just like, it's a whole new level. You know, I can only, it's like, you know, the moment that Star Wars came back was when George Lucas saw Jurassic Park and went, "Oh, you can do that."
I'm pretty sure that was the reaction of many people. Spot on, spot on. I was like, and you see that leap. I think people would underestimate it, because this is not something that you just like. Maybe people who are going to, you know, get a chance to listen to it. I think it would be such an insult to maybe take it and maybe like, oh, I'm headed off to work. Let me just plug it in my ears and listen to it en route, or just put it on the radio and listen to it. Like it deserves, for me, I felt like it deserved so much. Like even when I was listening to it, I had to like go to my room, switch everything off and just close my eyes like in a meditative state and just listen to it. And I can, like, I attest, it is very, very, very moving, and that is just beautiful, a beautiful job.
Well, that again, that's the work of Kenton and Lance, adding that gravitas and emotional weight to the piece. I mean, we had 46 stills in a screenplay to work off, right?
You milked it.
And a silent screenplay, right? So yeah, it was. Yeah, it's an interesting one, because the immersive nature of it does demand actually stop and listen, and it kind of reminds me of the story. You know, I worked at the BBC for a little bit, and there was always one complaint you wanted to get as a producer, right? Which was a very angry listener would send in a letter, right? And it would say, "I was in a desperate hurry to get to the grocery store, which was closing at 5 o'clock, and I put on the play at 4:30, and I'm very upset because the play was so good, I sat and listened for the whole hour to it." And I feel like this is what Dolby Atmos is, you know, now offering listeners, is the chance to actually, you know, like you say, switch off, plug in, switch the lights out, put a pair of headphones on, and actually, you know, what Rory has done with the sound design on this story
impeccable.
is extraordinary.
Exactly. So clearly the technical team did a very good job. Like, on to my like maybe second last question for you as a director. Like we've had a lot of remakes, especially in the horror genre. When it comes to film, we have like a lot of classical remakes for the past like maybe 10 years, and there's this this popular comment that people say, the original was better. Was that like sort of like a fear for you? Because okay, maybe you had some leeway because not a lot of people had seen it, but was that like a point of concern to you?
No, then the main point of concern, because you can't see the original officially, it does not exist. So
true.
For me, the point of concern was trying not to disappoint the people who had imagined it for 65 years. But that said, we have mentioned this. We've been trying to get a project off the ground now for a while with Mike Grell, who's a DC comic book writer. Me and Lance are working on an adaptation of Shaman's Tears. And Mike Grell, we sent a copy to, sort of say, hey, here you go, what do you think, whatever. And he actually wrote back and said, he said, oh, well, yeah, I really enjoyed this, well done. It absolutely compares to the original, because I saw it on telly when I was a kid. I was like, wait, what, rewind a second. So at the minute, I found one person who has done both versions, and he says they measure up. But for me, it's just not about letting down. I mean, I would not want to do this badly or make it look like a cash grab. If we were going to do London After Midnight, we had to do the best possible version of London After Midnight. And that meant, you know, making sure it started with the script. If that script didn't work, if that first draft wasn't close to being ready, or, you know, and, you know, we did need work. Mainly we had to work very, very hardly on the ending, but we don't discuss that, hashtag spoilers. But you know, we had to work on the ending, but it was like, you know, if you've waited 65 years to, you know, enjoy London After Midnight, you've imagined it. We had to do that was the responsibility, to do the best possible job, you know.
Yes, and you did it amazingly, and I really do appreciate it. On to my final question. I want to keep this short, maybe just a tad bit short. We can have more if you want. This is going to be a bit selfish for me, but what is your what is your personal take away from London After Midnight? Like I saw in your bio, you're a big one of the quotes that you quoted was, you were taught that what was it? Your life, sorry, just you live or die by the quality of your work. Yes. So what do you think, generally, what do you think about the horror genre as a whole, and especially if you can just mention a bit of African horror? If you know of none, it's okay to say that.
I don't, I'll be honest with you, I don't know a lot, but the thing is, no one sets out to make a terrible piece of horror. No one sets out to make a terrible film or TV series or whatever else. So, you know, first part, you've always got to remember, whether you enjoy a piece or not, you know, someone has fought blood, sweat and tears to get that made. And they really, whatever it was at the start, whatever you get at the end, someone really believed in it at both ends of the spectrum there. And for me, it's like, you know, it's just, I think what I take away from being taught that is, you have got to fight for every single second to be as good as it can. And I'll be honest with you, if you probably went back into my earlier work, it may not stand up as well, but the fight has been the same. But what's changed over time is the experience. So, you know, as people are making these things, give them the space and the depth and the breadth to grow and learn and come back better. Because, you know, if you do that, if you're going with that kind of mindset that they've tried to make the best thing, you know, a good creative, as I've learned, will realize what they've got wrong. Yes. And the mistakes are actually your best learners. You know, so I you know, the kind of skills I've accrued over the years has been that process. Everything has been self-taught, everything kind of locking in as we go. And, you know, the next thing people might hate. It's very, very possible. You know, I might slip up, or I might think something's brilliant and people don't like it. But, you know, I mean, like, you know, genuinely, like, I'll be honest with you, it's like, because I work in horror quite a lot of the time, I don't find a lot of horror terrifying, because it's like, I know that. I know.
I was waiting for you to say that. I was waiting for you to say that. I was like, you're taking the long route, but okay.
But it doesn't mean that what they're doing is wrong. It just means that it's being presented to someone who knows what they've done, and I'm instantly deconstructing. That said, though, I recently watched. It's on Hulu or Disney Plus, depending on where you are in the world.
Uh-huh.
No One Will Save You. Have you seen that one yet?
I think
Um,
it's on Netflix.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've suddenly realised that my weakness for horror, like the thing that will always get me, is the alien home invasion story.
Really?
Yes. So
That was like the earlier subgenres of horror.
yeah, and I think it's very rarely exploited. But you know, like Communion, Signs, and now you got this one. And honestly, for the first 25 minutes of that film, that first act, I was
Uh-huh.
like holding my chest, going, "I
Oh
can't,
my
I don't think I can get through this film." And
God.
if fortunately it changes its rules,
Uh-huh.
becomes something different in Act 2 and something different in Act 3. But if it's sustained for 90 minutes of that, I just literally, yeah, my bed sheets would have been a different color. So
Oh my gosh, you just confirmed something that you just made me realize something about the genre as a whole. Like I feel right now, not only you, but a lot of people are now getting gravitated towards like earlier forms of like how horror was done. Like the way we'd love London After Midnight because it's just purely audio. I can maybe compare it to maybe silent films from long ago. And now you mentioned aliens. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'd also be maybe slightly terrified because I think nowadays horrors are just purely jump scares and just possessions. Smar will kill me after saying that, but it's overdone. I think at this point in the industry. So that's just my two
I
cents.
mean that's the thing with that first script of London After Midnight. It wasn't inherently jump scary, or you know, we actually
Exactly.
we had to put in some of those in post production actually
Oh.
because there weren't enough of them.
Mm.
But what there was this kind of mood and dread and this vibe
It like
that came on page after page because you know at the start of London After Midnight, the family who live in the estate, they've suffered two chronic tragedies. You know,
stop giving
no,
spoilers, Jack. Don't give
it's fine.
spoilers.
It's in the first 3 minutes. You know what
All
I mean?
right. Okay.
There's a historical tragedy, and
Uh-huh.
then, like within the
Yeah.
first 3 minutes, the tragedy is then compounded on top. And then when you wind forward 6 months,
It
um,
comes.
it's like the heaviness of misery. But what you then have to find is the lightness, because you can't inflict 57 minutes of misery in an audio movie on a listener.
Exactly.
You've got to find the
Exactly.
jokes and the humour and the lightness, because human beings, you know, they still have jokes and lightness even in the most terrible of time, gallows humour and all that kind of stuff. So, you
True.
know, but it was the mood in that first draft I really responded to, because it was just so unpleasant, you know.
I know. If sorry for cutting you off, but if I was to create like sort of like a narrative structure, it is sort of like for the first let's say third of it, it places you in a situation. For the middle part, it draws you in now. Like from there, it just compels you. It's like you're going into a haunted house, but you just have that feeling of dread. Like
Yeah.
that was the kind of mood I felt for me.
That's the thing, because like it's classic. It's why, again, it's an audio movie. Uses 3-act structure, just like a film. So first act is all set up, understand the rules, what has happened.
Exactly.
Second act is
Calm.
all about you know the mystery that spins off from those rules, and then the third act, which I don't think I'll ever be able to discuss publicly, but that third act is all the payoff, and that is, again, that's just beautiful writing from Kenton and Lance, you know.
True. That is just I don't even want to say. I don't want to spoil the third act, but for me it felt like I'm just leaving that entire situation. Like it just indescribable. Anyway.
Thank you.
Jack, I really want to keep this live really short for maybe our viewers who want to view it later, but I will definitely look for you again so that we can discuss more about the entire horror industry. If you're not going to be busy, I'll definitely hit you up.
I'm here.
So just well, as culture, what we do with Mar is you get to have the final word and then we can close it.
Okay. Well, thank you. So anyone who is watching this, please support us. We are an independent audio horror movie production. You can buy a copy of this, physical, download, www.londonaftermidnight.co.uk, and please spread the word. And also, I think this has just been announced today. Today's the 25th of October, so we're available on Bandcamp if you want to buy a copy. But in 2 days' time, we shall also be available as a digital download on the brand new audio app, audioteria.com. So from the 27th, they'll be carrying us as well. And stay tuned, because that is just the beginning.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Jack. You did a wonderful, wonderful session. Have a lovely, wonderful evening.
Thank you. You too. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.